As Arizona's housing market continues to evolve with increasing demand for affordable housing options, real estate professionals frequently encounter both manufactured homes and park models. While these property types may appear similar at first glance, they are legally distinct under Arizona law, with differences in construction standards, size, mobility, titling, and regulatory oversight. Competence in recognizing these differences is essential for licensees, as each carries unique implications for financing, taxation, and transfer of ownership. The distinction begins with the governing authority. Manufactured homes are regulated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and CHUD, under the National Manufactured Housing Construction and Safety Standards Act of 1976, while park models are regulated at the state level by the Arizona Department of Housing, ADOH. Manufactured homes must comply with HUD construction standards, often referred to as the HUD code, which ensures structural integrity, safety, and energy efficiency. Each part of the mobile home should have a HUD certification label on it. These standards apply nationwide and require that the home display a HUD certification label, a small red metal tag affixed to each section of the home. In contrast, park models are built according to ANSIA 119.5 standards, designed for recreational use, and are not subject to HUD code regulation. They are in a park where the land is leased and it is sold like a vehicle. A key difference lies in size and use. A manufactured home is defined as a structure that is at least 320 square feet in size and built on a permanent chassis, designed to be used as a dwelling with or without a permanent foundation. A park model, on the other hand, is typically less than 400 square feet, built on a single chassis, and designed for temporary or seasonal living rather than permanent residency. However, in Arizona, particularly in areas such as Mesa, Yuma, and Apache Junction, many park models are used as full-time residences within age-restricted or RV resort communities, creating the need for licensees to properly classify and represent them. If the park model is not on its own land, then it is sold like a vehicle. If you are selling or purchasing a park model and you want to use a title company, make sure they do park models. The distinction between the two also affects title and recordation. Manufactured homes are initially titled through the Arizona Department of Transportation, Motor Vehicle Division, MVD. Much like a vehicle, when permanently affixed to land, ownership is converted from personal property to real property through an affidavit of affixture under ARS, Section 42-15203. Once affixed, the title is surrendered to the MVD, and the home is recorded with the county recorder's office as real property. A park model, in contrast, generally remains personal property, even when installed in a community space, because it does not meet HUD dwelling standards or size requirements. It typically remains titled through the MVD as a recreational vehicle RV and cannot be affixed to real estate through the affidavit process. For example, a buyer purchasing a double-wide manufactured home in Casa Grande that sits on privately owned land can obtain an affidavit of affixture and finance the home using a traditional mortgage loan. In order to be approved for a low-AN, most lenders will want the unit to be built after June 15, 1976. Conversely, a park model located in an RV resort is often subject to a lot lease rather than fee ownership of the land, and financing is handled through chattel loans or personal loans rather than mortgage lenders. Misidentifying these property types could lead to serious issues in financing or title transfer, potentially resulting in violations of ARS Section 32-2153 for misrepresentation. Additionally, taxation differs between the two property types. Once affixed, a manufactured home is assessed and taxed as real property through the county assessor's office. A park model, remaining titled as personal property, is taxed annually through the MVD's vehicle registration system as personal property. Understanding this distinction is vital for agents preparing comparative market analyses, CMAs, or explaining closing costs to clients. Disclosures are another critical consideration. Under AACR 4-28-1101H and R4-28-1101I, licensees must exercise reasonable skill and care and disclose all material facts to their clients. For manufactured home transactions, this includes confirming whether the home is affixed, whether taxes are paid, and whether the title has been properly surrendered. For park models, disclosure of the lot lease terms, park rules, and ownership restrictions is required. An agent who fails to identify that a home advertised as real property is actually a park model on leased land may be held liable for misrepresentation. In MLS, if the printout states fee simple, it is most likely a mobile home and owns the land it is on. In some cases, when looking through the listings, an agent may list it as a fee simple, but is really a leasehold property. If you look at the tax records, you will see that the park is owned by an entity, and the park model for sale is on that entity's land as a lot lease. For instance, a scenario in which a buyer in Apache Junction believes they are purchasing a manufactured home with land ownership, but later discovers it is a park model on leased space, could lead to rescission of the contract, loss of earnest money, and ADRI disciplinary action. Competent representation therefore requires verifying property classification through the county assessor, ADOH, and MVD before drafting contracts or marketing materials. Review summary. Manufactured homes and park models share similarities in appearance, but differ significantly in regulation, classification, and ownership rights. A mobile, manufactured home and a park model differ mainly in how they are built and the codes they must meet. A manufactured home is constructed to the federal HUD code, which requires strict standards for structural strength, insulation, wind resistance, fire safety, plumbing, and electrical systems, because it is intended for permanent, year-round housing. These homes are built on a chassis, but designed to be placed on a permanent foundation. In contrast, a park model is built to the ANSIA 119.5 RV/park model standard, which is far less stringent because it is classified as a recreational vehicle rather than a dwelling. Park models are limited to 399 square feet, use lighter construction materials, and typically rely on RV-style hookups rather than permanent utility connections. In short, a manufactured home is built as a full-time residence under federal housing safety rules, while a park model is built as a temporary or seasonal RV unit with lighter construction and different regulatory requirements. Understanding these distinctions ensures legal compliance and protects clients from costly misunderstandings in title transfer, financing, or taxation. Discussion prompts. What is the primary difference between a manufactured home and a park model? Answer. Manufactured homes are built to HUD code standards for permanent living, while park models are built to ANSI standards for temporary or seasonal occupancy. How does the affidavit of affixture change the legal status of a manufactured home? Answer. It converts the home from personal property to real property, allowing it to be financed and taxed as part of the land. Why is it important for an agent to correctly identify a property as either a manufactured home or a park model? Answer. Because the classification affects financing, taxation, title transfer, and disclosure obligations. Closing remarks. Understanding the difference between a manufactured home and a park model is more than a matter of terminology. It directly impacts legal compliance, consumer protection, and professional credibility. A knowledgeable Arizona licensee can help clients navigate the complexities of a fixture, titling, financing, and park regulations while avoiding costly errors that could result in disciplinary action. In a state with one of the highest populations of manufactured and park model homes in the nation, this knowledge is indispensable for providing competent, ethical service.